everyone and welcome to Endorse Me. Today I have the privilege of interviewing Pierre Schroeder from Thrive in Fielding. I have interviewed Pierre before, but I think today is going to be a very interesting interview because we're focusing more on him as an entrepreneur and how he actually built his business to help everyone out there that's looking to get into the industry so they know how to, what to look for and just how to start. And is it as easy as people think it is? And I'm sure Pierre will be able to answer most of those questions for us today. So I'm going to let him give a bit of a bio about himself. It's always better coming from the speaker themselves. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment on them. And I'm sure either myself or Pierre would love to get back to you on that. So let's begin. You started in the industry about 10 years ago, is that correct?
Yeah, this year would be 10 years, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. When I arrived in New Zealand back in 2008, went straight into the industry and working for another brokerage. That's where I started, yeah.
Great. And would you say that the first 3 years or 5 years was probably the most difficult in this industry? And when did you start actually seeing a bit of growth in your business?
Well, if we're talking on the insurance business, basically 2008 started in the business working for another brokerage, which is really where I had sort of cut my teeth in the industry. And, got used to the products, understood where it was fitting in the marketplace, what clients' perception of insurance was in New Zealand, which was quite different from where I came from. So that was a bit of a challenge. But once I understood where everything fitted in, it was relatively easily to sort of try and carve my way as to where I would be in the industry. What I didn't plan for was how long it would take me to actually carve that way out. When you're starting, you're all roaring to go, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and just want to jump into things, right? I jumped in for about 6 months and then I was like, this is not working so well. What am I doing wrong, right? So I think, looking back now, one of the things I wish I could tell myself is be patient, which is not a skill that I have. Even today, I'm really impatient, but I think, first of all, having a mentor at that stage of my career was quite vital. Often we're in businesses and we're involved as employees or whatever the case may be, and we think that, this boss of mine does this and that, but we're looking back now, at that time, I was exactly the same. I thought, why is he doing this for? What is he doing? Until I owned my own business, I didn't really appreciate what he was trying to teach me or the stresses and challenges he was going through. And I could have actually, if I was open to learning at that stage, I would have learned so much more. But what he did teach me throughout that time absolutely, poured the foundation as to what I was able to achieve later on in my career. And I actually had two different mentors as I transferred from one brokerage to another. So my brokerage career as such in the industry actually lasted for about 6 years.
Okay.
And I saw various different business models come and go, a lot of agents come and go, and learning from everybody, but built some great relationships throughout that time, understanding the highs and lows of the insurers, but also of the industry. I think the biggest contribution to my success was always, sort of measuring myself to the person that actually owned the business. And that's what I consistently tried to challenge myself on. Okay. So I think that's, that was absolutely vital, having that mentorship at that stage of my career, and also being new to New Zealand, understanding the demographic.
Yeah, makes a big difference.
Yeah, huge.
And do you think you've sort of become a mentor now for the people that you work with as well?
Yeah, you have to be.
Okay.
There's a couple of things, a couple of reasons why I would say. I always try, I don't try to be a mentor. I try to sort of distribute knowledge, because in today's age, there's a lot of knowledge out there available on the internet, but there's not a lot of guys that have actually done it. And the doing is completely different than the saying, right? So it is hard. Elon Musk makes this famous quote of, they asked him one day, what is it like owning a business and running a business? And he said one of his friends described it the best, and it was like chewing glass and staring into the abyss. So to give you a bit of framework, it's not that bad in New Zealand. Luckily, we've got a lot of support. But I would say do not underestimate what it would take. Right, and you've got to commit. That's the biggest thing. If you're looking for a life-work balance, probably what you have is the best you're going to get right now. You've got to go through those growth pains. You've got to go through the full commitment before you're actually going to see some results. And it's going to take consistent results. So, those are the sort of little nuggets that I try to, just put out there for people. And some people really absorb it and they get involved in it. And our team here, I've got a very, learning sort of environment. We're always pushing to see what's the next best thing that we could do. How can we improve our business? How can we improve our people? My personal PA has gone through 3 different roles in the last 3 years. Right, she's now embarking on her next journey, but we sort of provide that education and growth. Because if you're not growing people, you won't grow. Just that way, and the same if you're not learning. So if you're just sitting there ticking over, thinking that the insurance game is going to always stay what it is, you're wrong. It won't, and you need to upskill yourself.
It's always evolving.
Always.
Right.
Yeah.
So for someone that's starting out new to the industry, because you've been there about 10 years now, would you say that the last 3 years was your most, you made the most progress and made the biggest growth? But those first 7 years or first 7 to 6 years, how difficult is it for someone to start when they're just getting into the industry?
Yeah, I would say probably, I got advised, in the beginning that you should go and work for someone. And I thought, I can do this on my own. But it was actually the best advice. Luckily I took it, but it was the best advice I was given. And I would definitely say coming into the industry now, we're in a changing environment. The best thing you can do if you're new to the industry is work with someone. Because first of all, they're going to shield you a little bit from those changes, but you'll be able to learn what they go through via these changes without having to put your dollar on the line, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there's no better time to be in the industry than now. Right, that's my view on it. I think it's an amazing time to be in the industry.
Even with all the changes coming up now as well.
I think it's great. And
you think that would actually help the industry as well?
Yeah, I mean, change means progress, right? Good. So if we are progressing, why wouldn't you want to be in an industry that's progressing and creating momentum? And actually what we're doing for the consumer, we're elevating the experience the consumer is receiving. And what that elevation of consumer experience will be, it will instill confidence in financial advisors again. Right. So we're actually in much more than just a regulatory transformation. We're in a transformation of what we do as an industry, right? And I think there's no better time to be in the industry than now. And if you're prime and you're willing to work hard and you're willing just to tick the boxes that the regulatory guys want you to tick, you're far ahead of a lot of people in this industry. Okay. And because of that reason, you'll be successful. Perfect.
It sort of seems that the FMA is trying to make advice the main focus of being an advisor, which makes sense. But
sort of does, doesn't it?
Some guys don't get that. Some guys just, not the cowboy sort of outlook, but they don't follow those processes. And the ones that actually do, like yourself, you'll be benefiting in the future. So do you think the best advice for someone starting out is to make sure that you tick all those boxes, or rather to just shadow someone and be, to learn from someone else that's doing it right the first time?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 questions in there. I'll answer the second one first. So I definitely think shadowing someone initially, as I said, right now at this time in the industry is very important. Back to the first question, having processes and challenges from the regulatory side of things, I don't view it in the same way. People don't like change, right? So therefore, all of the announcements of the regulatory things changing has been not always received very well. But you're running a business, okay? So if you're running a business, you should always be striving to be at the front of the pack, right? If you're not, then what are you doing? So if you're not positioning your processes and your business in the best way, you're not doing your clients justice, you're not doing yourself justice, and you can't grow. So I think advisors really need to understand that this is not an attack on advisors. This is an opportunity for you, if you've not done before, to step up your game and to potentially build a great business. Because a business without processes, without key features in place, is not a business. No. It's just a client base. It's a list with names and numbers that produces some sort of income paid by the insurer. That's all it is. It's not a business. So when it comes to sale time, when it comes to scale time, there's no asset value apart from the renewals. So I even think for guys that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, a lot of them have done fantastic advice. I've met guys that didn't have a CRM, but I could open the file and all the notes were there, the advice was correct. So it's not to say that it was bad advice, but if they can just translate those advice into systems and processes, which they probably anyway follow, and they just have to document those, they can add really a lot of value to their businesses.
Good.
So I really urge people to think about, you're running a business here, right? You're not just a glorified salesperson. And I think that's the difference.
That mind shift.
Yeah, I think a lot of, and I'm probably going to get ridiculed for this, but I think a lot of advisors just, they've got 50, 60 grand worth of renewal coming in. Mm-hmm. They go and write $50,000 worth of new business every year. So they're earning 150K, right? That's great. If and when they cut commissions or other challenges in line, those guys are going to be obsolete because they won't be able to sustain to service such client bases, right? So I think that's where a lot of the sort of fear comes from, is that's a nice cushy place to be in. But the difference between the cushy place and the exceptional place is not that much. And I think that's what people need to understand, right? The regulatory systems, everything that we've heard from them has everything that you can do to qualify yourself, to get your systems and processes in place. All of that's going to contribute to your business. You should be leveraging that to say, hey, look, I've qualified. Hey, look, we've got systems in place. We're embracing regulatory change because we want to give you the best advice. Instead of spending the time, effort, and energy on the negativity of the whole side.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's my view on it anyway. Look, we need to do our submission, so everybody out there that wants to make a submission, make it, because now's your chance to say your say. I do think we need to still, challenge like regulations that might not fit. But generally, I've not seen much of that.
Okay. Let's talk about your practice and what you've done differently to help you grow and evolve as you have. So you spoke earlier about learning and development for your staff, but also for yourself. What kind of processes have you put in place to help them? You mentioned something earlier when we spoke about the videos you put online for them as a document library where they can just view those and a bit of a system in place. But what else have you done to help scale your business?
So that's our biggest challenge as small to medium business owners, right? Is there's only one or two ways to scale. So, or to remove yourself from your business. So you're either running as much business as you can, siphoning out as much money as you can out of your business and reinvesting that into money generating assets, right? Or income generating assets. The other option is to scale your business. And, flow all the money straight back into your business in order to scale. So what I did is I went for the latter option instead to scale my business. I also have some other things that I work on, but the first step for me to scale my business was trying to duplicate myself, which is much harder than we often perceive it to be.
It's only one of you.
Well, the thing is, you'll never work as hard as you work in your own business, right? And you can't expect anybody to do so because it's not their business. Unless you bring some skin in the game, then you dilute whatever scaling you're trying to achieve. So what you're trying to do is to try and add value to not only your clients but your employees. Add value to your subcontractors. And make the process as easy and simple and cost effective for them as possible so that it makes sense for them to be with you. So that's what I focused on. So when I looked at our systems and processes, statement of advice, I focused on building more of an administration support for the team so that they had to spend less time doing all of that and can spend more time in front of clients, which for them results in more income.
Great.
So I didn't just focus on the commission split. I didn't just focus on what do I get for my commission split. Rather, I focused on how can I make them more efficient, because that benefits me and them. Right? So that was the one thing I did. The other thing I did in my business is I immediately started to try and outsource as much of my administration as I can within the business, but outsource it from myself. So I have minimal involvement with administration. We've implemented a lot of technology in our business to try and automate, and it's been fantastic. Not only has it increased our regulatory requirements, we're far and above of what's required of us, but it also means that we've got a finger pulse on everything that happens with our clients. It's still always a work in progress because we've got a large client base, and a lot of those clients are acquisition clients, and we've got to work our way through those to get them up to speed. But one of the things that we did is when we started implementing these processes, we started documenting exactly how to proceed, how to implement each process. So when we brought someone new on, we didn't have to go through the time spent sitting with them going through all the processes. So we created basically online videos with an online assessment where they can go and actually learn our processes by sitting in front of a laptop.
It's brilliant. Saves a lot of time.
A lot of time, and also we can see what they're struggling with at a drop of a hat. But also later on, when we have these employees that might struggle 3-4 months down the line, we can get them to go and revisit a certain module. So they can go and revisit that module, and we can reassess them on it, and then they can move on. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, some people might just not meet the mark. But then we also have that tracked, right? So we can say, oh well, look, we've worked on this model 3, 4, 5 times now. It's just not working.
Yep.
You know, so that's the other thing that's really helped me, because those are the things that seem to consume you. You know, when you wanna grow a business because you love what you do, but there's a lot of other stuff that you don't know you're going to need to do that you don't necessarily love. So it's about how to find ways of getting that stuff out of your way.
Okay.
So I would encourage anybody that wants to scale to really always keep front of mind why you're doing it.
Yes.
So I, for example, don't do anything that does not contribute to revenue or client experience. That's my rule. That's the only rule I work with. So if I see something come over my desk or in my inbox, if it doesn't contribute to client experience or revenue, someone else can do it.
Fair enough. And I mean, I've seen your process as well. And when you go see a customer, you've got such a streamlined process that from the time